"You're raising me as much as I am you." That's what my dad told me, referring to himself and our relationship a million times or more when I was growing up. I guess those particular words were what he felt was the best fatherly advice he could give each time he'd say it. I already missed that man so much, and God knows I loved him. I always will. But I also know he loved me as much as anyone could ever be loved. I was his Firefly, and simply put, flaws and all, he was my hero. He called me Firefly so often that sometimes I'd have to think back to remember my real name is Nova. My dad told me that he and my mother named me Nova because it meant bright new star, and in his eyes, that's exactly what I was. My dad was never a rich man in monetary terms, even though everyone always thought he should have been. He was a musician, and he owned a small neighborhood bar. He even wrote a few books, a few more songs, and at least a dozen poems. But I think they were mostly for me. He was always trying to be more than what he thought average was. But I don't know if anyone other than me and a very few others ever really saw that side of him. My mother didn't, that was for sure. I was almost 4 years old when she left us. We spoke on the phone on my birthdays and Christmas, but after she left, she moved across the country and started a new family. I haven't actually seen her for all of these years, but to be honest, I don't really know her. I think the worst part about having a dad that was both my mother and father was that man couldn't do hair to save his soul. He tried, but he'd fuss and cuss, not directly at me, but definitely at my hair, and that happened practically every single morning. Needless to say, I learned how to do my own hair as quickly as I could. Early on, I didn't really believe him about the me raising him statements he so often made. But looking back, I think he might have been right about that in many ways. Don't get me wrong, he was brilliant at what he was brilliant at, but for the many things he didn't seem to care about, not much would ever happen, especially throughout my teenage years. If our air conditioner would go out, he'd grab some fans, or if the dishwasher clogged, as it did many times, he'd make me wash the dishes by hand. He just kept moving forward with what he wanted to move forward with, and often forgot about some of the things I thought were pretty essential as a teenager. A good thing did come out of him being the way he was, though. I did eventually learn how to fix just about anything myself. I'm sure his ways were a precursor to my current job as a mechanical engineer, but believe me, I worked my way up to it.